Wow.
Hello and welcome to the channel. We'll talk about all things card games and chill with friends. My name's Liam and today I want to show you my Fubuki deck profile. Now, if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description. And if you want to support the channel even further, please click that join button down below and become a member. But let's jump straight in. So in this week's deck profile, I want to show you my Fubuki Mio deck profile. It's been requested quite a bit by the community and it's a super fun deck. It isn't the most serious, it isn't the most competitive. However, Fubuki, if it does go off, has got the opportunity to do at least 200 damage with the option of taking additional life through effects, which is pretty neat. And obviously, being a massive gamer stan, obviously I couldn't not build this deck. I absolutely had to. So yeah, I'm going to share this with you. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. As always, if you want to see any of the other deck profiles that are available with set 2 and also looking into future sets, please make sure you check out the Holo archive made by Chocolate from Risky Holoca. And whilst you're there, make sure you check out Risky Holoca's YouTube and give them a subscription. They are amazing at what they do. They cover mostly the Japanese format, but as we start getting to the point where English and Japanese are going to start marrying up on their release dates as of like 2027, we're going to be seeing a lot of simultaneous content between us. But without further ado, let's jump into this deck profile. Starting of course with our Oshi Holomem Shirakami Fubuki with 2 skills. The Oshi skill for 2 holo power lets you just search your deck for a mascot, which is kind of nice. It's very important for what this deck needs to do. And its SP Oshi skill, again for 2 holo power, basically what it lets you do is when one of your white Holomem downs one of your opponent's Holomems, you may pay the cost, and if you do, you then roll a number of dice equal to the number of times you have 2 copies of a mascot. So for example, if you had 6 mascots, you get to roll it 3 times. And then if you roll at least 1 odd, you deal a life to your opponent. Straight up, but no questions asked. So yeah, so basically the idea of this deck is that you want to try and get 6 mascots on the stage, get to a point where you're ready to pay 2 to basically do an extra life to your opponent. And you ideally want to do that towards the end game, or as soon as you realize that you know that your next turn, you're not going to be able to have the 6 mascots on your stage. You basically want to maximize the use of that SP skill where you can. You can obviously be a little risky and try and do it when you've got 4 or 5, where you only get 2 die rolls. But 3 die rolls is the ideal amount, because then at that point, you've got an 87.5% chance of actually hitting the odd that you require. So yeah, Fubuki's pretty good. 5 life, it's a white Oshi, and the artwork is blimmin' adorable. You will see this artwork and you'll be very familiar with it if you have opened any of the Quintet Spectrum set. In terms of the cheers, we go pretty straightforward. 20 white cheers, nothing special there. But let's jump into our main deck. Starting off with our Holomem, of course we run Fubuki and we run Mio. Starting with the Fubuki lines, we run not 5, not 10, but 11 unlimited debut Fubukis. The reason being is that there is another debut in the set. It's a gift effect Fubuki. I don't really run it, and I don't see the need to. You want to make sure that you've got, you know, a decent HP debut with a decent damage output for a debut. 30 damage is pretty good. You are going to be co-level with debuts quite a bit because of how the mascots work. So yeah, having 11 of these, and this being basically the best debut that Fubuki has access to right now, I think is absolutely the right place. So we run 11 copies of that debut. Moving straight into Fubuki's first, we run 4 copies of her idol outfit Fubuki. On Bloom, you may search your deck for a card with Shirakami character in its tags and add it to your hand. That is basically your mascots. And then also it's got a 40 attack, 40 damage art for 1 colorless cheer, 120 HP, pretty standard. But again, the ability to search for your mascots is what makes this card so incredibly good, because you want to see your mascots realistically as quickly as possible. You want to be able to see 5 to 6 of your mascots on your stage by turn 5 at the very latest. So yeah, this card is really, really important. We also run 2 copies of the vanilla Fubuki, 2 arts. It's got one white cheer, 40 damage, and then a second art for 1 white and 1 colorless for 60, 150 HP. This is usually the first bloom that you want to see when you are blooming your center holomem into your second down the line. You want to be able to use this because your center is going to take a lot of heat at the very beginning, so just giving that extra 30 HP can be the matter of getting you to your second bloom or not. We also run 2 copies of the 100 HP other bloom effect Fubuki. This has the bloom effect that you get to reattach one of your mascots to another Shirokami Fubuki, which is kind of sick. And also for 1 white cheer, 1 colorless cheer, it does 50 damage plus more, where when you use this card's arts, your center and color position with a mascot attached deals an additional 20 damage. So this can do 70 damage, and then whatever you've got in your center will also do an additional 20. So it's really, really, really neat. But we do run 2 copies of that. And of course, we go into the second bloom. We run 4 copies of the Shirokami Fubuki Double Rare from set 2, 180 HP with the gift effect that you may attach 2 mascots with different names onto this holomem. Now, with mascots, you are usually only allowed to attach 1 per holomem. This gift effect gets around that. Yes, they have to be different mascots. You cannot attach 2 of the same mascot, but it's still really, really relevant in terms of getting to the point where you want multiple mascots on your stage. And not only that, all of the mascots give you plus 20 HP. So you get this Fubuki to 220 HP, which, as we know for second blooms from within the set, looking at the likes of Reina, which also gets to 220 HP. 220 HP is nothing to be scoffed at. So that's really, really good. And then the art for 2 white cheer and 1 colorless, it does 80 plus with an advantage to purple, where it does an additional 20 damage for every mascot on your stage. And this is what I mean by this Fubuki, if you set this up correctly, can do 180, 200, or even 220 damage in one swing. Sure, it's not as consistent of getting to that damage output as it is, say, in Reina. Reina is pretty consistent in doing that. But you've only got to get 5 mascots on the stage to do 180 damage. That is not a difficult task for this deck. The only downside to it is that obviously the mascots are attached to holomem, so when that holomem goes down, the mascot also disappears, which means you've got to try and find a way of getting those back. And getting those back is not the easiest in this deck. But this card is really, really good. And we'll see later on in set 5 that Fubuki gets a bit more of a pump in other ways, whereby dealing 200 damage on a single swing isn't difficult. And realistically, like, I think some of the best seconds in the game are those that can do 180, 200 damage in one attack. And Fubuki absolutely gets there. Moving on to our Mio line, we simply run 2 copies of the Unlimited debut with 90 HP and a 10 damage art for 1 colorless cheer, where you get to reattach 1 cheer from any of your holomem on your stage to another holomem, which is kind of nice, as long as it's got the JP tag, which is pretty straightforward. And then also, it's the only downside to this Mio, it has got a baton pass of 2, which a lot of people miss. So if this does end up in your center, except that it's not coming back, unless you happen to bloom it into your first, and then you have that spare 1 cheer to do, which, talking of the first bloom, we do run 3 copies of the first bloom Mio. Her baton pass is 1, so you could bloom into this and then retreat it back for 1. That is not a terrible idea. But this card is kind of neat, but the only reason you run it is because of the first bloom. Her bloom effect is that you get to reveal a cheer from your cheer deck with the same color as one of your gamer's holomems, and then attach it to one of your holomem at all. Wait a minute. Yes. And then it has the single cheer art for 20 damage, 100 HP. The art and the HP are pretty subpar, but you are absolutely running this for the cheer ramp engine, because your Fubukis, when they go down, there is no real way of getting your cheers back easily. So you absolutely want to be able to run some form of cheer ramp. I'd want to run 4 Mio, but honestly, you're very restricted on what you can take out of this deck, because a lot of your slots are taken up by mascots, for example. So you are limited to 3 here. With that, that is our holomems for the deck. We run 13 debuts. We run maths 11 firsts and the 4 seconds. Now let's jump into the supports of this deck. Starting off, of course, with our limited, we run 4 copies of Hadosaki Nordica. Why wouldn't we? It's the best draw engine in the game, plus draw 3 cards, needs no explanation. We also run 3 copies of Manager Chan. Now, the reason why we like Manager Chan in this deck, there are a lot of decks nowadays that don't like Manager Chan. However, in this deck, you are going to be using your cards in your hand pretty quickly. So putting yourself to 1 card plus a Manager Chan in hand, then draw back up to 5 is really, really neat. And this is one of the very few decks that really likes the fact that Manager Chan basically, in the vast majority of cases, will let you +4. Not only that as well, you do sometimes have situations where you have too many debuts in your hand and you can't do anything with it. It made me contemplate running a card called Custom PC, but I haven't put it in this build purely again because of space. But we do run 3 copies of Manager Chan, and we also run 2 copies of Mikorone. Again, I would want to run more, but I think you need 3 copies of Manager Chan. You could drop it to 2 and run 3 Mikorone. But again, like I said, because you are going to be using your hand a lot in this deck, I think Manager Chan is actually better than Mikorone in this. But having the extra draw power plus the search for a debut is just a very good card in general. We know how good Mikorone is, and we do run 2 copies in this deck. Other limited cards, we run 2 copies of Amazing PC. Now, this is another reason why we like the Mio, the cheer ramp. Because sometimes you need to try and find your second, and you need to find your seconds hard. You could run the Hololive Gamers event. You absolutely could. I like Amazing PC because it basically guarantees that I find my second, which you need your second as quickly as possible at the right point. So yeah, absolutely run Amazing PC, and I do run 2 copies in this deck. For those that don't know what it does, you have to detach a cheer from your stage to your archive in order to use it. And then if you do, search your deck for a first or second non-buzz holomem and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this lets you get to your second blooms. Very important card for this deck. We also run 1 copy of So That Makes You My Enemy. We know what this card does. Swap your opponent's center holomem 1 in the backstage. It's a great card to disrupt your opponent's stage, and it's a very good control card. Basically, every deck runs it as a one of at least. There's a weird couple of decks that don't run it, but I think it's an instant one of in this deck. Again, if you can, your second Fubuki doing 200 damage, potentially more, and your opponent's got a back row second ready to go next turn for when you're down their center, you go, okay, no, you haven't got your second anymore. I'm going to smack you now. It's absolutely worth playing in this deck. I would love to run 2, but deck limitations stop that. Moving on to our non-limited, we run 3 copies of normal PC. Again, the only reason we run 3 copies of normal PC is because we have got the Mio of a 2 of, which sometimes you just go, okay, I need to find my Mio. Normal PC, do it for me. That's basically why you run normal PC, and it's also basically what you search for most of the time with your Mikorone as well. Unless you happen to have that Mio engine set up, you're always searching for your Mio if you're going into your deck for a debut holomem. We do run 3 copies of that. And again, we could run 4, but again, space is tight. So we do have to run it as a 3 of. Running into the mascots now. This is the first mascot. So the first mascot is Orianke. We run 3 copies of this. Again, as mentioned, all of the mascots in this deck give your holomem plus 20 HP. And that is regardless of if it is a Fubuki or a Mio. You are wanting to attach this to a Fubuki. You are not wanting to attach this to a Mio. Let me put that straight. But the additional ability, and this is why, if this is attached to a Shirakami Fubuki, when the holomem, this mascot is attached to collabs, draw 1 card. This is a pseudo draw engine within the deck to help you get the cards in your hand that you need as soon as possible. Very, very good mascot, and it's the one we run at 3 of, and the other 2 we run at 2 copies. The first one is Fubuchun. Again, 20 HP to the holomem attached. And then if it's attached to a Shirakami Fubuki, when the holomem, this mascot is attached to collabs, you may return 1 mascot from your archive back to your hand. This is the only way in the deck so far that lets you get your mascots from your archive. That does change with set 5 with the yellow Fubuki cards. However, this is how you have to do it in set 2. It's very inconsistent, and that's why this deck isn't as consistent as it could be. Once we see set 5 Fubuki, there will be an update to this, and it actually makes the deck rather good. Sure, it's not tier 1, but it makes it better than what it is currently, which is probably a tier 3, maybe even tier 4 deck. Like, it's not a good deck, but it's fun, and it has the opportunity to randomly pop off, which is why I love this deck. Finally, we run this magic Neji Makitsune, another mascot, again, 20 HP to the holomem attached. And then when the mascot attached to this holomem is downed, if it is attached to a Shirokami Fubuki, you get to reattach one cheer from that holomem to another holomem on your stage. All the mascots, of course, like I said earlier, only one mascot can be attached to each of your holomems, with the exception of the second bloom, which has the gift effect to allow you to attach 2 different named mascots. But that is the deck. Like I said, it is not the best deck in the world. It really isn't. But it is super fun to play, and come set 5, it is a deck you need to be wary of, because you'll have a new card in set 4. There's a new second bloom Fubuki, which is quite nice. But then set 5 gives you the yellow Fubuki cards, which are really, really good. If you want to check those out, make sure you go to the Hololive OCG fan Discord server, link in the description. Check out the resource links, and you can see the translation list made by Ogbajog, where you can see the translations for set 5, and you can look at the Fubuki cards and realize that yes, those cards make this deck rather good. But that is it for this deck profile. What do you think, and would you make any changes? Let me know in the comments below. And obviously we are in the ramp up for set 3, Elite Spark, happening, being released in December, which is very, very exciting. Are there any decks from Elite Spark that you would like to see? Let me know in the comments below. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you are new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description. And if you want to support the channel by any other means, please consider becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.